Howdy folks! This is the second video that I've made about the Dutch accent. The first one was about consonants, so this time I'm going to talk a little bit about vowels. One of the most distinctive vowel pronunciations of a native Dutch speaker speaking English is, not surprisingly, a sound that Dutch doesn't have, which is the ah sound. This is the sound that's in dad, bad, pat. As far as I know, there are absolutely no words in Dutch that use the ah sound. It's the one that's written, let's see if I can do this backwards, like this, in IPA. Often when a Dutch person says a word with the ah sound in it, they will shorten the vowel and they'll bring it closer to the front of their mouth. So it sounds more like eh. So pat becomes pet. Pet. The ah sound also shows up in the first syllable of Natalie. So when my Dutch family is around, I become Natalie. 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 Which doesn't bother me because I'm sure I do much worse things to their names. This also reminds me of something I should have put in the consonant video because it is a really distinctive feature of the Dutch accent. In Dutch, when Dutch people speak Dutch, the final consonant of a word is often devoiced, which means if you were going to normally pass air through your vocal cords when you said that, you don't anymore and you just breathe. So D becomes T and B becomes P and that sort of thing. They're written the same way. They're written with the voiced consonants, but they're pronounced with the unvoiced consonants. And you can hear this difference if I say ik heb een hond. Ik heb een hond. There's a P sound there. But if you say wij hebben een flat, wij hebben een flat, then in hebben you actually do say the B, whereas in heb you say P. And Dutch speakers tend to do this also when they are speaking English. So if you combine that with the ah to eh transformation, the word bad ends up sounding a lot like bet. Bet. Another good example is the word have. It has that ah sound and it ends with a voiced consonant, the v. So when a person with a strong Dutch accent says the word have, it often comes out more like have. I have to do something. I found that both of those markers of the accent tend to fade a little bit the more experience a person gets speaking English. So the ah sounds less like eh, and they start to voice their final consonants more often. There's another vowel pronunciation in the Dutch accent that I find to be a lot stickier. It's a lot harder to get rid of. And this is another vowel that Dutch doesn't have, and it's the sound. I don't think I even said it right because it's hard to say in isolation, but it's the sound you get in foot and cook and pull. Dutch doesn't have this sound, so when a Dutch speaker tries to say a word like foot, you'll usually say voet, and cook becomes koek. And this reminds me of a conversation I had with my mom a few years ago, because she always says pull and push as pool and push. And I said, Mom, you know that it's pull, right? Can you hear the difference? And she was like, yeah, I can hear the difference. So it's like, pull? I'm like, no, Mom, it's pull. Pool? No, not pool. Pull. Pull. No, not pull. Pull. And I think she could hear that it was different than what she said, and I think she kind of could say it, but it was a really, really difficult sound for her to make. It wasn't natural at all. So she still says pool and push. Sorry, she still says pool and push. Pool and push instead of pull and push. And she started learning English like 50 years ago. So this one I think is pretty tough. And I think it's a lot tougher than the ah because it's just a lot less common in English. There are tons and tons of words that have ah in them, but very few words that have the sound. And finally, I'd like to make note of a few vowel sounds in Dutch that are difficult for native English speakers to pronounce. I'm not even going to touch on the diphthongs right now. Those are a whole nother story. So I'm going to make a separate video about diphthongs at some point. But as far as simple vowels go, there are a few that Dutch has that English does not have. And one of these is, I can't really say them by themselves. I have to try and say the words. One of these is the vowel sound in hut. I think I'm saying that right. Hut. That one's not too bad. One that really gets me is the one that is written as a double U. So in a word like food or hood, I don't think I'm even pronouncing those correctly. So if I say like, ik wil een auto huren, huren, I don't know if that's even the same vowel as you're supposed to say in just huur, ik huur een auto. The last simple vowel that Dutch has that English doesn't is the aw sound, as in bolt. And this one's not too bad either, because even though it's not in my dialect, it does show up in some dialects of English. So this is the New York sound in words like quat or twal. So I've heard it before, and it's not that hard to pronounce. That one's not too bad, but the sound is very difficult for me. Food. Fortunately, it's not in that many Dutch words. In fact, hood and food are the only ones that I know. Okay, so that's my video on vowels in the Dutch accent. I'd love to hear from you guys, especially the Dutch speakers among you and people who know Dutch speakers, how horribly I've mangled the Dutch, and how much this kind of matches what you've heard from Dutch speakers and or English speakers. Bye, kids!